And children from blocks all around the world. I am my block's strongest man, and I'm on here tonight to talk final predictions for World's Strongest Man 2022, which the finals begin tomorrow on May 28th, 2022. So here are the 2022 World's Strongest Man finals predictions for you. Let's have a look. For those of you who have been following me all along or following the World's Strongest Man updates, you know that the finalists are, off the top of my head, Martins Licis, Tom Stoltman, Luke Stoltman, Eythor Melsted, Maxime Boudreault, Gabriel Rayom. Sorry, I got distracted for a moment. Alexi Novikov, of course. Trey Mitchell.
I'm not sure.
Sorry, my Alexa always thinks I'm calling her when I say Alexi. Sorry, so let's start all over. The finalists for this year's World's Strongest Man are Maxime Boudreault, Mitchell Hooper, Eythor Melsted, Martins Licis, Trey Mitchell, Alexi Novikov, Gabriel Rayom, Brian Shaw, Luke Stoltman, and Tom Stoltman. And of course, we have some interesting stories about each of them this year. I think, some really interesting stuff has happened, and we can talk about our predictions for this year. So here we go. I feel like Eythor Melsted will come in 10th place in the finals. Here are the points I have for him in the research. So Giants Medley, again, my ratings are on a 0 to 100 scale based on points earned in previous contests out of possible points. I typically look back about 3 years with these sorts of things. So 2019, 2021, and if they've competed in 2022. Any of these guys, if they've done these events at a World's Strongest Man before, I tend to look just at that because some of them get up more for World's Strongest Man and perform better. And some of them, even if they're performing just as well in a regional type competition, they don't get as much credit in the algorithm. And I want to give them as much like for like comparison as I can. So Eythor Melsted, a rating of 10. I think that's good enough for 1 point in the Giants Medley. A rating of 30 on the deadlift for reps. It's good enough for 2 points. Flintstone Lift, not everybody has done this, so I tried to find overhead presses for max for as many guys as I could. Came up with a rating of 25 for Eythor. That'll be good enough for 1 point. Truck pull, he is very good with, so I gave him a rating of 60 on this one, and that's good enough for 6 points for Eythor. Duck walk into power stairs medley. So again, this is about, from what I've heard, a 5-meter duck walk with a given weight implement, and then up probably 3 stairs. Then you go get the next weight and do the same thing until all the weights are completed for both legs of the medley. I'm giving him a 22.86 rating there, good enough for 1 point for Eythor. And Atlas Stones, 1 point as well, a decent rating with 40, just the other guys with a higher rating than he has. So that's 10th place for Eythor Melsted. 9th place I'm giving to Gabriel Rayom. And this one, I hesitate a little bit because Gabriel's really outperformed what I expected quite a bit. In fact, if we take a look, let me go ahead and share what he did in the heats so we can have a look at that. And I'll just go over to, you've seen this in my previous videos, but you're looking for green boxes here. And if you look at row 8, you see Gabriel Rayom. And basically anywhere where you see a green box, he's overperformed what I expected. So loading race, the data showed he was going to get a point. He got 2. The data expected 3 points on deadlift ladder. He got 5. Same thing on car walk. He outperformed that. Log press for reps, he outperformed that by 2 placings based on what the data was expecting. And then wrecking ball hold, he was kind of right on target. So, and then of course, like many folks did not expect Gabriel to beat Kevin Ferris in the stone off, and he did. So I tried to really give Gabriel Rayom as much benefit of the doubt as I possibly could on this prediction, given that I also took what he did in the qualifiers at World's Strongest Man and fed it into the algorithm already so he can get some boosters here. And so here's where I ended up. 63.97 rating for Gabriel, good enough for 5 points is what I expect. I'm expecting him to get 4 points on the deadlift for reps, a 63.73 rating there. So very good ratings in both of those. Not as good of a rating on Flintstone Lift, 28.24. So I'm going to give him 2 points there. Truck pull, I think he will do decent. Mid-pack, 59.4 rating for 5 points. And I'm giving him 2 points on a 45.88 rating on duck walk power stairs. And then 59.38 rating, good enough for 4 points on Atlas Stone. So that's how Gabriel Rayom comes up with 9 points. He very well could outperform and do better than that again. So let's see what happens. Maxime Boudreault, who came in 3rd at World's Strongest Man last year, unfortunately has Giants medley that includes a yoke and a deadlift in the finals this year, which I think won't bode well for him, even though he has some, good other events. But here's where I think Maxime will end up. So he has a rating of 30 in Giants medley type events at world level competitions, but that will be good enough for 3 points. Deadlift, not his forte currently, so a rating of 10 for him at world level competitions. He'll get 1 point there. Flintstone Lift, I'm giving him 3 points with a 36.67 rating. Maxime is exceptional with log, maybe not so much so with a bar, but we'll see what happens there. This is what I'm predicting based on the data I could gather. Truck pull, I think he'll do very well. So he has 74.69 rating based on the data I gathered there, 8 points on truck pull. And then duck walk power stairs, I'm giving them 5 points with a rating of 60, although I've heard from a very reputable, knowledgeable friend that he thinks Max is going to win this event. So I might be way off there, but that's where I have him. And then an 88.75 rating on Atlas Stones, good enough for 8 points. So I consider Max among the best Atlas Stone lifters in the world. I think, as you'll see us going through this list, I think Tom Stoltman's number one. And then I think you have Maxime Boudreault, Brian Shaw, and perhaps Martins Licis in that next level, and Trey Mitchell kind of right below that, or maybe even in that trio that becomes 4 people. So I'm giving him 8 points there. Moving on up, 7th place, I think will go to Luke Stoltman, although this one's another kind of wild horse, so to speak. Like, Luke's especially motivated this year for the reasons that you all know about, so he may outperform all of these numbers and get a lot higher up on the list, but based on past data at world level competitions, here's what we have. 74.29 rating on a Giants medley. That'll be good enough for 6 points for him. Deadlift, 47.5 rating, good enough for 3 points. Flintstone Lift, 56.14 rating, good enough for 5 points. Luke, far, far better on log than bar type events. Truck pull, I think he does 66.67 rating, which would be good enough for 7 points for Luke. And duck walk power stairs, a 60 rating for him will be good enough for 6 points. And then Atlas Stones, 53.05 rating. It's a good rating, but a lot of guys much higher, so 3 points here for Luke. Although, if he didn't have that bobble last year, he would have done much better than this last year with Atlas Stone, so this score may go up quite a bit. 6th place goes to Mitchell Hooper, and the difference between him and Luke in points, could be made up by Luke doing much better in the Atlas Stone, so we'll keep that in mind. Mitchell Hooper, I'm giving a 75 rating on Giants medley because I think he's a 100 rating on Super Yoke, and I'm just going to figure I haven't seen him do a box carrying competition. We'll say he's just average and 50. Average 50 and 100, you get 75, so close as we could get without actual comp data. Deadlift, he's a monster. You saw what he did in the group heats, and so I'm going to give him a share of the top spot, 9.5 points there. You'll see who that's shared with in a moment. Flintstone Lift, I think he's going to do very well as well, just based on gym lifts. He was pressing a lot of weight overhead. I'm going to give him the win there, 10 points. And then truck pull, he's going to get 1 point. I gave him a rating of 50, which is an average. It's not a bad rating. It's a totally middle of the road average rating. It's just everyone else's ratings are higher than that. And so he's going to get 1 point there unless, he surprises us like he did with some of the other events. Duck walk power stairs, again, I'm giving him just an average rating for lack of having any evidence for him, and that'll be good enough for 3 points. And same thing, Atlas Stones, good enough for 2 points. So 6th place overall, Mitchell Hooper. 5th place, I'm giving to Alexi Novikov, who surprisingly to some of you, I don't have on the podium, but you can let me know what I've missed here or misinterpreted, but the data does not show these events getting him on the podium when compared to his peers, and we'll see why. 33 total points for Alexi Novikov. I gave him a 90 rating on Giants medley. Does very well at these at world level events, so that'll be good for 9 points. Deadlift, he's a 65.65 rating. Good enough for 5.5 points. I'm going to give him a share. I don't think all 10 guys will have 10 different number of reps on the deadlift, so that's what I'm giving him there. Flintstone Lift, he has 82.05 rating based on the data I've compiled, so he'll have 7.5 points there. You'll see who that's shared with in a moment. And then truck pull, I think, is what's his real downfall. Like Alexi in pulling type events has not excelled in the past data I was able to grab. He has a 43.97 rating, which isn't terrible, but it is sort of below mid-pack, and that would only be good enough for 2 points. You have some good truck pullers in this pack, and unless he does something special or is able to overcome the lack of body weight with technique, we can see what happens, but that's what I think is really going to kind of put him out of the podium position. And then duck walk power stairs also. Not a lot of evidence to suggest he'd be exceptional at that one either. 4 points, a rating of 53.33. And then I think he gets 5 points on Atlas Stones. 77.52 rating is really high, but like, you know, to get 5 points, for example, you have Brian Shaw, Tom Stoltman, Maxime Boudreault, and Trey Mitchell all above him. So that's 10, 9, 8, 7. And then we'll say, I forgot who else I had above him as well, but it's not easy to or it's easy to see how you quickly get down to 5 points when you have very, very good stone lifters. Martins is in there as well, for example. Fourth place I have going to Trey Mitchell, which, if I'm not incorrect, is what he did last year as well. So that would be an incredible finish once again. Total of 36.5 points for him. So a pretty low rating for Giants Medley type events for Trey. Rating of 20. I think he gets 2 points. Deadlift, an 85 rating. Everyone knows what a great deadlifter Trey is, and I'm giving him 7.5 points, so a share of those points there. Flintstone Lift, giving him a very high rating for overhead pressing power, 86.72, so 9 points for Trey there. Truck pull, I think he comes away with 4 points with a 56.25 rating. Duck walk power stairs, a 67.5 rating for 8 points there. And then Atlas Stones, Trey, a great Atlas Stone lifter as well. I think he gets 6 points here with an 83.33 rating. And so here's your podium. Number 3, I have Brian Shaw. So this one may be a little bit controversial. I listened to Big Laz and Medium Liz the other night. I actually couldn't sleep because I still got the world situation. So I was up watching a bunch of their videos, and I saw that neither one of them have Brian Shaw in their top 5. And I think that maybe a lot of people are feeling that way. And I think that's because of Brian's performance in the groups. It was lackluster, I guess is a good word. Brian had to really come back and fight his way back into the stone off where we all knew he would win. But like he was down there in the ratings of his group for quite a while there. So I don't know if people are feeling like that's a pattern of performance. I don't. So first and foremost, I have Brian obviously in my top 5, unlike Laz and Liz. And also, I know Liz was real hesitant. She said, I'm just going to go with my gut, my instincts, and pick my winners or my podium here. No statistics. Well, you know me. I'm all statistics. So, you know, what you didn't get there, you're going to get here, and you put us together, and you get perfection. So there you go. But, yeah, so I feel like Brian's performances in the So I feel like Brian's performances in the heat were, you know, there's different reasonings, right? Some people say he had a death in the family. It was on his mind. Some people say he's too old and past his prime. You know, here's what it is. I feel like the events in the groups simply weren't the best events for him, and the events in the finals are simply much better events for him. And that's that. Like, that's really, I'm looking at the math. I'm not taking all those other things into consideration. Brian outright said that he did the bulk of his training, if not all of it, for finals events and focused there. So, you know, and didn't think the groups were going to go the way they went. So I just think math is math. He's a lot better at these events historically than he is at the group events, and that's all that there is to it. So Brian Shaw, 60.71 rating on Giants medleys for 4 points. I think he split 7.5 points with Trey Mitchell on the deadlift with a rating of 85. They have an equivalent rating with each other in deadlift for reps. Flintstone, I think he's going to get 4 points with a 61.81 rating. 76.67 rating on truck pull. I think that'll be good enough for 9 points. And 77 rating on duck walk and power stairs, good enough for 9 points as well. So that's where he starts to get really consistent. And then I think he gets 7 points on Atlas Stones, 86.1. So you're wondering, like, who are the 3 guys that have better than Brian at Atlas Stones? So you saw one of them was Maxime Boudreault, who beat him at Atlas Stones last year. I think he will again. He's young, he's hungry, he's always improving on Atlas Stones. And, of course, Tom Stoltman, and I think Martins Licis as well. So we'll see. So Brian Shaw, I think, makes the podium at the 2022 World's Strongest Man, 3rd place, despite what a lot of other folks think will happen. Number 2 for me is Tom Stoltman, 41 points, just edging out Brian Shaw. He may beat him by more than this. We'll see. Depending on whether Brian brings his best and lives up to all the numbers of the past. He has been around a long, long time, so we'll see. 80 rating for Tom Stoltman on Giants medley. I think he pulls away 8 points there. 65 rating on deadlift for reps. I think that's good enough for 5.5 points, which he shares with Alexi Novikov. Flintstone lift, he's better than his brother on bar type lift, so an 82.05 rating I think gets him 7.5 points on the Flintstone lift. Truck pull, I didn't have a lot of data supporting that Tom's a great truck puller. Tom also has improved drastically on many things very recently, so he could blow this number out of the water and set a new average for next time he's competing for us to look at. But for now, 3 points on the truck pull. Duck walk and power stairs, I think he's above average there, 60 rating and good enough for 7 points. And then Atlas Stones, everybody and their mother thinks he's going to win the Atlas Stones, a 96 rating, almost perfect. 10 points for Tom on the Atlas Stones. Good enough for second place overall. I think he just misses defending his World's Strongest Man title, and that is because of the return of the Dragon, Martins Licis, who I think comfortably wins World's Strongest Man 2022. Have him winning the Giants medley with 100 rating the last time he did it. Deadlift for reps, a 92.02 rating. I think he shares 9.5 points with Mitch Hooper there. Flintstone Lift, I gave him 6 points for a 73.91 rating. Truck pull, an 80 rating for 10 points. Duck walk and power stairs, I think he's going to win that one too. He finds a way to win everything pretty much. So 82.5 rating there. Really, no one has a better rating than him anyway. And then Atlas Stones, I think he's the second best Atlas Stone lifter. He beat Tom on the inverse stones. So granted, these are spherical Atlas Stones, and we'll see how it translates over. But I think that's enough to put a little bit of thought in Tom's mind, that this guy's coming again, and a little bit of confidence in Martin's mind. So I'm giving him 9 points on Atlas Stones. And there you have it. That'll give you the total enough for Martins Licis to be your 2022 World's Strongest Man. So there you go. Your podium for World's Strongest Man 2022. My predictions are the winner, Martins Licis. Number 2, Tom Stoltman. Number 3, Brian Shaw. And then we round off the top 10 with number 4, Trey Mitchell. Number 5, the 2020 champion, Alexi Novikov. 6, Mitchell Hooper. Number 7, Luke Stoltman. Number 8, Maxime Boudreault. Number 9, Gabriel Rayom. And number 10, Eythor Melsted. So let me know in the comments what you think about these predictions, or what your predictions are, and even who you would like to win. Brother Mr. Alexa does that too every single time. Like every single time I say OLEKSII, it responds. I'm trying to get it to not answer me. Even with 3 Canadians in the finals, I still wish JF were there. I think we all do. Yeah. Glad to see he's inspired so many. JF is great. You've probably caught him on my channel quite a few times. He's been on 3 times, I think. And he's always so willing. It's funny. Like my co-host Isaac and I felt bad reaching out to him when he was hurt to say, hey, do you want to come on? And he's like, I can't walk. I'm sitting around doing nothing. So yeah, I'll do anything. Yeah, he's so very accommodating. Pablo says, let's see, I was going to say, hope you're feeling better. Oh, thank you, Pablo. I'm feeling medium. People ask me, are you feeling well? I'm feeling medium. I'm in between Advil doses, so I'm a little bit, I'm okay right now. How about that? I know my voice doesn't sound normal. It may give out any time now, but thank you for asking. I do appreciate that. Strangeland. Boo, Canadians at 6, 8, and 9. Hooper will be much higher. Maybe. You never know. Like, he did much better than folks thought in the groups as well. So, funny enough, like there's two guys here that I didn't have originally. When I first did my predictions, when the groups were first announced, I predicted who would win the groups and then, who would win the finals. And I didn't have to change very many because everybody made it in that I thought, except Gabriel Rayom and Brian Shaw. I didn't have Brian Shaw making the finals. I had Kevin Ferris making the finals, and I had Evan Singleton. And of course, that was unforeseen circumstances, right? So, but even then, I had Mitch Hooper 6, and he didn't change from 6. So it's funny. But yeah, you never know. He may very well do higher. I don't have a good argument to say he won. I just don't have a lot of competition data to support putting him higher than that. That's all. But Strangeland, let me know why. In which events do you think he'll really excel that maybe we're not expecting? I'd love to hear. And let's see. Sean 3 could be changed with Hooper. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I need the evidence, right? You got to tell me which events he's going to do better in and Brian's going to do worse in, because the math has to work out, right? Like, points have to add up. So, yeah, let me know. But we'll see. Yeah, I think probably some of you are thinking Brian's past it, and I'm giving him the credit of what he used to be, which is possible, but till proven otherwise. I mean, a lot of the math that went into the research I used to figure out where he would come up has recent performances and things where he wasn't as good as he had been in the past. That's all taken into account. So, it should average out. The commenter, I have very similar predictions, except Max and Hooper switch places. So, okay, so you have Max in 6th and Hooper in 8th. Okay. And Novikov 3rd and Brian 4th. This is the one I really struggled with. A lot of people, including I think both Laz and Liz, have Novikov 3rd. Tell me in which of these events he's going to do substantially better than I have him that would put him in 3rd. And don't get me wrong, I probably want Novikov to win. I root hard for. I love Novikov, but I just don't see it. Pablo says, I think Brian will lose more points in the duck walk and power stairs. That's possible. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the implements are heavy enough that speed isn't a factor as much as strength and power is, but we'll see what happens there. By the way, anybody who's new here, please subscribe. If you haven't liked this stream yet, go ahead and like it. Please share this with everybody you know. I really do appreciate it. That's how I gain all these tens and tens of views. It's really, really all down to all of your efforts. And if you love what you're watching, shoot me a super chat. I always would really appreciate that. It helps keep the lights on, these wonderful lights that I have on. The commenter says, I think Novikov gets 2nd, depending on what happens on Flintstone. 2nd overall. Wow. Interesting. Tell me why. Tell me where I'm far off on, because I think several folks are saying that truck pull is probably going to be his downfall just due to his size. But if you think he's going to come 2nd overall, I'm sure you think he's going to do better than mid pack on truck pull and duck walk, like where I have him a little bit lower. So please let me know. Let's see. Did you watch Big Law's interviewing Hooper today? His past training video showed him as a solid contender. In the past 2 days, showed truth in his videos training. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to catch it yet, but hey, I interviewed him first, so I know everything he has to say. I'm joking. Laz is the best. I didn't get a chance to check it out, but I did interview Mitch Hooper. My buddy Isaac and I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and it was readily apparent that the guy is very mature, very confident, knows exactly what he does great and what he does a little less than great, and how to position himself the best to be a winner. And I knew that coming into World's Strongest Man, he was going to do better than people expected. Like, most people are all shocked. I'm not shocked. I always had him going through to the finals. So, you know, it's not really a surprise to me, just like I say, because we interviewed him a couple weeks ago, and you can think maybe he's arrogant at first, but then you listen and you're like, no, he's just straightforward. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat things like sometimes myself and everybody I know does. Like, he just tells it like it is. Let's see. Novikov's coach said he did over 500 in the overhead press, but who knows? Okay, well, that would be near the top if that's what he did. I think Pablo Cordiaco, who's not in the finals, also did over 500. And when I saw that, I was astounded. So I would say that would be close to tops. Flintstone press should be good. Yeah. Hooper deadlifted 475. Yeah, that I'm aware of. Yeah, we talked about that when we had him on the show as well. He deadlifted 475 suited, and he's done 425 unsuited. Those are his top lifts. Yeah, we talked about all that. If you want some more info about that, by the way, because Mitch Hooper is going into the deadlift championships later this year, and we talked about whether he felt he could do 505, and he said, this is what he said: I'm going to break the deadlift record, and I full well understand that it may take more than 505, and I still am going to break it. So he's that's his level of confidence. Commenter, I think he picks up a few extra points on each event compared to what you have him, but that's assuming he's brought the full package on power stairs and the bus bowl. Okay, so basically not a huge improvement in any one area, but like a point here and there gets him up there. Yeah, could very well be. Yeah, he'd have to pick up 4 points total, so a point here and there, 4 points total to get above Trey in what I have. Yeah, it's possible. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's all speculation till it actually happens, right? What's up, Jonathan Roy? How you doing? I'm pretty amazed at Hooper's debut at World's Strongest Man and his interviews. His interview with Giants Live today was really interesting too. Talked about recovery and training mindset. I got to check that out. Was that on the live? It's usually World's Strongest Man has the Facebook Live, but it's been on YouTube this year. Is that where you saw it? If so, I'll check that out. Yeah, he's a super intelligent guy. It's funny. Like, I think back, I was not that smart at that age. It's unbelievable. Did you hear, like, I posted a bunch of videos today about when Mitch Hooper and Kim a show recently, and they were talking about what they thought about the event announcements when they were first announced a couple weeks ago. And we asked them about all the group events and the final events and what they thought and how they thought they would do. And we were talking about different deadlift grip positions, neutral grip versus the traditional grip. And he was talking about moment arm. And I'm like, wait a minute, like he's talking about physics all of a sudden. I hear like intelligent stuff like that in the middle of a sports discussion, and I was really shocked. So it's pretty amazing. Jonathan says, yeah, he said, I'll be prepared to pull 5'10" in giant sled. Oh, so he repeated it again, what he said on my interview. Yeah. Yeah, he's super confident. Now, if only I could get a share of those millions and millions of Giants live views, that would be wonderful since I broke the news. But hey, it is what it is. Podcast from Giants Live on their YouTube channel. Yeah, I've caught a few of them. I saw the one with Gab Bilton. That one was really cool, where he's talking about putting a lot of emphasis on his cardio these days. Gab Bilton put on a hell of a performance. He didn't make it to the finals, but he outperformed, I think, what everybody thought he would do. And hey, he's still young in his strongman career, and I think he's making some great leaps and bounds for sure. But cool. So, got some more. We'll wrap it up soon so I can save my voice. And plus, I think I've given you all the information I have. Hooper has advanced degrees in exercise physiology, I believe. Yep. Guy's for sure smart. Absolutely he is. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so happy to see what he's done at World's Strongest Man. I think for him, it was just expected. Like what's happening was just expected, but I'm very happy to see what he's doing. Gab's lost 30 kilos. I heard 20, but yeah, that's amazing. 30 kilos. Unbelievable. Yeah, well, I'd love to see what happens in the coming Giants Live season after, to see how he starts performing there as well. I've been following Strongman since 1980. I was 12 years old. Wow, that's funny. All right, so I won't talk about being old anymore. I was born in 75. But that's awesome. So Strangeland, what was your first World's Strongest Man you saw? I've seen them all on repeat, like I was, 2 years old when the first one came out, so I wasn't watching. Well, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. Hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you found some detail here that you just don't see anywhere else. That's what I try to give you, not just instincts or, here's what I've seen and here's what I think, but actual numbers. Like I've compiled thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of information, most of which, let me give credit, comes from Strongman Archive. So they posted, and I don't have any direct file feed from them. So by hand, I'm picking number by number and spinning them into my pivot tables and coming up with all the information that gets you all of this data that I don't think you find anywhere else at this level of detail where you can have, objective measures of guys against each other. So hopefully you found this very useful. And we'll wrap it up with Strangeland telling me about the Franco Colombo World's Strongest Man. That's the one bending his bar in the mouth. Unbelievable. That's my Italian countryman right there, buddy. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Hopefully you found this useful and you can use all of this detailed information to formulate your own opinions of what the predictions are for 2022 World's Strongest Man. We'll probably set up a watch wait party over the weekend. We'll see, and we'll see you then. And of course, as always, ciao, homie.